Hello, my name is Teacher Alicia, and yes, I am a VIP Kid teacher. I want to tell you a story about something that I experienced that helps me to become a better teacher. And I'm going to give you some skills in my next few videos that will help you become a better teacher. One of the things that I experienced was back in 2001, I was a park ranger. That's what I did as a profession. I worked at a park in northern Michigan up near Torch Lake, right on Lake Michigan. Beautiful park. We had a beach and it was nestled in some pines. It was very beautiful. I worked the midnight to or the 11 till 8 shift or the midnight to 9 shift, either way. Uh, so I was responsible for the park safety and the campers and making sure everything was calm and secure. On July 27th in 2001, we had a very bad storm come off of Lake Michigan, one of the worst storms I have ever seen. And I had heard it on the radio, so I was prepared that it was coming. I began to go around on my bike and ask campers to get their awnings in and to secure their belongings. When the storm hit about 4 a.m., it was so violent. The air was electrical, and the downpour of rain caused where our tents were to flood. So I jumped in my truck and I was driving around and picking up campers and taking them to the garage where we kept our equipment where they would be safe. We had tree limbs coming down. It was a very scary time. So I went back, and this gentleman that was in the tent area came and found me and said, Park Ranger, uh, Alicia, I cannot find my daughter. Please help me. Please help me. And he was very distraught. So, worrying for his safety and the rest of his kids, I put them in the truck and took them to the garage and came back and began to look for little Angela. As I looked, I found other campers that were struggling, put them in the truck, and I just happened to see a flash of red that was under one of the vehicles, and it was her coat. So I was able to pull Angela out from underneath the 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 car that she had gone under because she was very scared of the loud thunder and the massive amount of lightning that we were having. So I put her in the truck. I took her back, handed her to her dad, and the cement was up higher than where my truck was parked. And I was walking back to my truck to get in to go find some other campers or to secure the campground. I had my mag flashlight, which is metal, in my right hand and my keys in my left hand. And as I walked to get in my truck, I was standing in about 6 to 8 inches of water, and I was dripping wet because it was raining so hard. And I remember the flash, and I remember the buzz, and that's all I remember from that. Other than I remember the ground current coming up my legs, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm being struck by lightning. And I had been struck right above my hips. It had gone up my spine into my brain, and it exited out my right ear. And what it had done, it had shot me about 20 feet to the right. The people that I had saved or was trying to save from the storm ended up coming and dragging me into the garage and doing CPR. I do remember coming to and thinking, oh my God, please don't take my shoes off. It felt as if from my knees down had been blowed off, and I was concerned for the kids that they would see mangled feet if they took my boots off. Um, and then I remember just coming in and out of consciousness. The ambulance came. They should have took me to Munson, which is in Traverse City, which was we were kind of in the middle, but it was a trauma center, which they should have took me there. But instead, they took me to Charlevoix, and that was grace because there, the doctor that was starting his very first shift that Sunday morning, he was a retired Army doctor. His name was Dr. Boss, and his specialty was lightning strikes and paratroopers that had got struck by lightning or from static electricity from the parachute cords. Um, that was grace, because when you get struck by lightning, it's not just the initial shock done to your body. Your body begins to shut down the systems, your organs, uh, uh, your heart and your brain and your liver, your kidneys, everything begins to shut down. My brain was swelling inside my head, causing massive pressure. Um, where the optic nerves, which are in the back of your eyes, go in and cross in your brain, that is where I had a lot of damage. So I could not see. My right side of my face was burnt from where the lightning had exited out my right ear. My right ear was huge and swollen. My hands had burns on them. My feet had burns on them. When they got to the ER, my boots just disintegrated, basically. Um, Dr. Boss knew exactly what to do, and he did save my life. I did not know who my husband was. I did not, of 13 years. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was. The lightning had caused massive brain injury, traumatic brain injury. I spent some time in Charlevoix. They flew me to U of M in Ann Arbor, a hospital, and then I spent a couple weeks there, and then I was spent about 4 months in Mary Free Bed, learning to be a person, learning to feed myself, do my zipper buttons, talk. I stuttered. Um, I also had problems. I didn't know how to read. I had to relearn my alphabet. I had to relearn how to count, to tell time. Everything that we take for granted, that we learn as children, I had to relearn as an adult. They told me that I would never get past probably a third or fourth grade education level. I have two PhDs now, one in behavioral psychology, one in theology. The They told me that I'd probably never walk, and I do that very well now. Um, I still have some health problems, but nothing like I did. I want to tell you all this as a VIP kid teacher because I was a very independent person. I was a coach of very successful teams, a pastor's wife. I taught drama. I flew to other countries with my missions trips. I was very independent. And though I had empathy for other people with challenges, I did not have a lot of compassion. And what it taught me, this whole experience taught me, was um, to have compassion for people. And I have noticed that some of our kids in VIP Kid, and I'm sure other ESL platforms, um, do have processing problems, or they have issues where their confidence is very low. They talk in a very low voice, um, or they do not look at you. These are all things that I'm going to give you some tips over the next couple videos to help you reach out and connect with your students. Um, we have X amount of minutes to get through our lesson, but sometimes we need to stop, and we're allotted 30 minutes. And instead of trying to rush through our lesson, sometimes it's important to reach out to the children. It's important to see that there's learning gaps. One of the biggest learning gaps, uh, like I had a student the other day that simply was very hard to hear. He struggled with his reading. Bossy E rule was just, I don't think he really understood it. So what I did is I took a few minutes aside from my class and I spent time with him finding out what he really liked and talking about his friends. And then I was able to bridge that gap into education and taught him some more about Bossy E, taught him some more about how to break down words in order to read them. And by the end of class, his confidence level was way up. And he began to talk louder, and he began to look at me and look into the camera and begin to make eye contact with me. So it is very important. But I had if I had not gone through what I went through, I don't think I would have the compassion and the insight to see what what I needed to see. Um, One of the biggest things that I've learned and a motto that I created is to never let a setback make you sit back. You have to fight and make a comeback. And that's what I want to tell you today is if you're struggling with your teaching, if you're getting burnout, if life is just getting crazy around you, don't let it overwhelm you. It's one thing to be a boat in a storm. You can survive the storm if you keep the water outside. But once the water begins to get into your boat, then you can sink. And when you have storms outside of you going around you in life, don't let that get on the inside because you can literally walk in peace and security and confidence um, without even through the most terrible storms that life can throw at you. Um, I think that education is amazing when you see a child light up for the first time because they've grabbed a concept. That is the ultimate for a teacher. And that has been the ultimate for me. I am so excited to be a part of VIP Kid now. I'm so excited to be a part of my students' lives and making impact. And I hope this encourages you to don't give up. Don't let life beat you up. Uh, Stand up, fight, and make a comeback. And look for my next videos. My next video is going to be on learning disabilities and how to teach a child or reach a child that is uh, non-responsive, to reach a child that is just crying, to reach a child to learn those where the learning gaps are, and how to discover them and how to reach these children. It's important that each and every child becomes a success. Thank you.